Oops. Welcome to another episode of I Am the Revolution. I'm your host, Compton J. Um, I'm gonna start off with a video. Let's see. Okay, I see the perfect video. So let's do this. I know I didn't start off in the intro, but here we go. All right, so let's start off. I think this is a good video for this particular episode, Black Radicals edition.
But that's all right, because we said even before this happened, and we're going to say it after this, and after I'm locked up, and after everybody's locked up, that you can jail a revolutionary, but you can't jail a revolution. Right. You might run a liberator like Aaron Cleave out the country, but you can't run liberation out the country. You might murder a freedom fighter like Bobby Hutton, but you can't murder freedom fighting. And if you do, you come up with answers that don't answer, explanations that don't explain. You come up with conclusions that don't conclude. And you come up with people that you thought should be acting like pigs, that's acting like people and moving on pigs. And that's what we've got to do. So we're going to see about Bobby, regardless of what these people think we should do. Because school is not important and work is not important. Nothing's more important than stopping fascism, because fascism will stop us all.
Absolutely. That is the late, great Fred Hampton. And for those that don't know, we're RBN now, but we started out as FHL, Fred Hampton Leftist. So shout out to the late, great Fred Hampton. So today's episode is called the Black Radicals Edition. And hang on a second here. I got something playing in my ear. It's called the Black Radicals, the Black Radicals Edition. So this isn't the Black Radical Tradition episode. This is the Black Radical Edition. And today's edition is Malcolm X's speech on white liberals and black capitalists. He does mention black capitalists in this particular video. We're going to analyze this, break this one down, because we have to start, or in my opinion, we have to start looking at people like Malcolm X in the way that we look at other political theorists. Not just an activist. I think we should look at him as a political theorist. A lot of black activists, a lot of black activist icons from the past are just looked at as activists, as movement leaders instead of political thinkers, and like Martin Luther King also. And I think it's on purpose because what they're saying is not in line with what white. Did I share this already? Am I sharing this? Let me see. With white what America's white supremacy plan. It doesn't align with capitalism. It doesn't align with this fake democracy, which is actually a plutocracy. So I was looking to just, of course, I felt like I needed to start. If we're going to do a Black Radicals episode, I have to start with Malcolm X. And so I was looking for content to do on him, and something that I haven't seen, and I've seen portions, overheard portions of this. I should say seen, because it was the actual video. This is just going to be audio that we're going to be listening to here, but I've seen portions of this. I think I've actually even tweeted it out, like snippets of this, but this is a longer version of this snippet that I had. So I didn't see all of what's in this video or hear all of what's in this video. But the video talks about white liberals. Oh, oops. I forgot to do all the logistical things before we get started here. Make sure you like the stream. Oops. Make sure you like the stream. Let's do it that way, I guess. That's pretty cool. What did I do? Oh, that. So let's make sure you like the stream, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Our subscribership is going up gradually, so thank you for those that are coming aboard our community. Also, Substack, make sure you join our Substack. We're going to use it like our mailing list because it's the easiest, quickest way for us to collect emails and send out information, send out when we're putting out content for our audience. And you can work, this is sort of like a workaround the algorithm that's not notifying a lot of the people that follow us. They're like, I didn't get the notification. So this is a workaround. If you follow us, hang on a second here, I'll tweet this out. If you subscribe to us, is the better word. Subscribe to us on here it goes. If you subscribe to us on Substack, then you'll be able to see that. Let me actually share this. I was supposed to do this, but the topic is something I want to get it right into, and that's why I kind of jumped the gun. But here it goes. Here, if you want to, we're building our community. Join our mailing list by simply clicking the link below. So you can go to our page right now. I'm going to retweet this on which page am I on? I'm on my page, so I'm retweeting this, what you're seeing on the screen, on my Twitter. If you want to, can I flip that? If you want to go check it out, there we go. That's better. If you want to go check it out, also I'll take the link and I'll put it in the chat right now, and maybe later on today I'll put it in the chat also. Really trying to build our mailing list for our audience, just in case something happens. You never know if they take us down. We want to be able to reach out to our, I think that's everybody. Yeah, there we go. So it's in the chat, and it's also I just retweeted for those that follow me on Twitter. So go ahead and subscribe to us. All right, so I got that out of the way. Also, Patreon, if you're able to contribute, Patreon is Revolutionary Blackout .com. I'm sorry, patreon.com/Revolutionary Blackout. That is correct address. All right. I think I got everything out of the way. Now let's get back to the topic that I want to cover. Hang on a second. All right, my wife has to leave out again. So because the restrictions in California are pretty much gone, employers are now having her go out in the field more. So anyway, so she just left. So that's what I was saying bye to her, making sure. Today's my daughter's birthday, middle daughter's birthday, and we had to kind of talk about a few things for that. She turns 12 today. So let's get to the content now. I know everybody who's here to finally get to this Malcolm X speech, like, wow, when is he gonna get to it? Here it goes. All right, so I'm gonna stop and start this a lot, rewind, probably go through it a couple of times. It's a 7-minute 13-second clip. But what he says in this video, in this audio, in this speech is so, when I hear historical footage or content of somebody speaking about um something that was happening and that in their time, and it's almost like that same speech can be exactly for today. um that's just very surreal for me. So let's get into the speech. I turn it up as loud as it goes. In the beginning it's low for maybe 10 seconds and then it gets higher. So let's get started.
In this crooked game of power politics here in America, the Negro namely the race problem, integration, civil rights issues, are all nothing but tools used by the whites who call themselves liberals against another group of whites who call themselves conservatives, either to get into power or to retain power. Among whites here in America, the political teams are no longer divided into Democrats and Republicans. The whites who are now struggling for control of the American political throne are divided into liberal and conservative camps. The white liberals from both parties cross party lines to work together toward the same goal. And white conservatives from both.
I mean, you tell me if that couldn't describe what's absolutely the situation now. And I believe when Fred Hampton is another one, when the white establishment, the ruling class, the people who run this country, the CIA types, begin to hear a person articulating exactly what's going on and remedies for that, and people are gravitating to that person, they realize we have to take this person out. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Fred Hampton. Oh no, we can't have this. We can't have this stuff. Stirring up these people with stuff that's going to prevent us from fleecing them, their money from them. So that's, to me, yes, and I'm looking at the comment. It's still true. Yes, it's still true today. So I'm gonna rewind it, but it's just amazing to me. What we not even a minute into it, and it's just so reflective of what's happening today.
In this crooked game of power politics here in America, the Negro, namely the race problem, integration, civil rights issue, are all nothing but tools used by the whites who call themselves liberals against another group of whites who call themselves conservatives.
So I'm going to try to apply this to now. So you have black issues that has been going on for literally decades that only comes up in national discourse or national discussion election time. And it's used by what he calls liberals, Democrats, against, which is a white, one white party, or however he described it, against another party, white capitalist party. I'll just use that term. One white capitalist party against another white. That's all it's used for. It's virtue signaling. Never a real remedy for the problem. It never happens. And it just keeps saying, well, we've come a long way. It's been 500 years, bro. Like, come on. So let's continue. I'll rewind 5 seconds just so we understand the context.
Themselves conservatives, either to get into power or to retain power.
Actually, let me rewind that, because that complete America, sentence is very important.
The political teams are no longer divided into Democrats.
Oops. Shit. I clicked something.
American history.
So anyway, it's back to here.
And Republicans.
So what I was saying is I want to hear that complete sentence where he's saying how black issues are used against one party versus the other. So let me go back a little more.
Against another group of whites who call themselves conservatives, either to get into power or to retain power. Among whites here in America, the political teams are no longer divided into Democrats and Republicans. The whites who are now struggling for control of the American political throne are divided into liberal and conservative camps. The white liberals from both parties cross party lines to work together toward the same goal. And white conservatives from both parties do likewise. The white liberal differs from the white conservative only in one way.
So I think I just caught on to that. I had a different understanding earlier when I was listening to it. So he's saying that this is not anymore Democrat Republican, it's liberal versus conservative. And you have liberal Democrat, liberal conservative teaming up. I'm sorry, you have liberal Republican and liberal Democrat teaming up, and conservative Democrat and conservative Democrat Republican teaming up. Just never mind. I will say that.
The white liberals from both parties cross party lines to work together toward the same goal. And white conservatives from both parties do likewise. The white liberal differs from the white conservative only in one way. The liberal is more deceitful, more hypocritical than the conservative. Both want power, but the white liberal is the one who has perfected the art of posing as the Negro's friend and benefactor. And by winning the friendship and support of the Negro...
I mean, it's almost poetic to me. This is poetry to me. It's poetry because he's the word seems to be surgically placed. I don't think that was his plan, but it seems to be like they're surgically placed to where he gets to the point in the shortest amount of words, but the words are still very powerful and effective. So, and they make the point, and I think that's a better way of me saying that. They make the point so clearly.
To work together toward the same goal. And white conservatives from both parties do likewise. The white liberal differs from the white conservative only in one way. The liberal is more deceitful, more hypocritical than the conservative. Both want power, but the white liberal is the one who has perfected the art of posing as the Negro's friend and benefactor. And by winning the friendship and support of the Negro, the white liberal is able to use the Negro as a pawn or a weapon in this political football game that is constantly raging between the white liberals and the white conservatives. The American Negro is nothing but a political football, and the white liberals control this ball through tricks or tokenism, false promises of integration and civil rights.
So, slightly different issues. Integration and civil rights were the promises then. Where are the promises here now? Voting rights, police reform. That never happens. Yes.
As a pawn or a weapon in this political football game that is constantly raging between the white liberals and the white conservatives. The American Negro is nothing but a political...
I mean, like any issue outside of it affects white people or wealthy people are, I feel like, fall into this category. Like the Republican parties don't give a damn about religion, but they have to pretend like that because in the 80s they decided to team up with the right, with the evangelicals, and form this bond. But they don't care about that stuff in the same way that the Democrats don't care about, indigenous rights. They don't care about trans rights. It's like like he's saying, you have white liberals and white conservatives all just picking the issues for their side to virtue signal to the peasants, knowing they're not doing any of that, but they have to get us to believe that they're trying to do something that we all that the peasants want to be done, that they're not going to do. And that's essentially what Black people have been screaming, and not in those words, but what have they been saying this last time with Joe Biden? We're tired of this not delivering stuff. Like, you're hearing it more and more. So it's feeling to me more and more like the jig is up with a lot of Black people on this issue. And I can't say that for Black boomers, but let's continue here.
Political football. And the white liberals control this ball through tricks or tokenism, false promises of integration and civil rights. In this game of deceiving and using the American Negro, the white liberals have complete cooperation of the Negro civil rights leaders who sell our people out for a few crumbs of token recognition, token gains, token progress. In the New York Tribune, in an editorial dated...
Yes, Troy. What's up, Troy? Shout out Troy. Troy is a regular. I know Troy also on Twitter. The 80s GOP realized they could not win without evangelical support. Yes. And this was the marrying of evangelicals, or the religious right, with the business right. This was the marrying in the 80s is when this happened. It's just simply this. It's just virtue signaling. They don't give a damn. I mean, it shows. I mean, Donald Trump. I mean, is anybody else more anti-religious than Donald Trump that has been in the presidency? So yeah, absolutely.
Dated February the 5th, 1960, they pointed out that out of 11 million qualified Negro voters, only 2,700,000 actually take time to vote. This means that, roughly speaking, only 3 million out of the 11 million Negroes who are qualified to vote take an active part. And the remaining 8 million remain voluntarily inactive. And yet it is this small minority, the 3 million Negro voters, who help determine who will be the next president. If who will be the next president can be influenced by 3 million Negro voters.
How was the same thing happening, people? Black people in particular. Malcolm. I mean, this is what, 40 years ago? Malcolm is talking about how a small population of Black people who vote are the ones determining who's going to the White House at that time. And we have in 2020 where they're still telling us, wait till later. Malcolm is saying it 40 years ago. No, that's the 60s. That's 60 years ago. Malcolm is talking about this 60 years ago, and the Democrats are still saying, hold on. Black people, you have got to wake up from this shit. You have got to wake up from this shit here. Let's continue.
700,000 actually take time to vote. This means that, roughly speaking, only 3 million out of the 11 million Negroes who are qualified to vote take an active part. And the remaining 8 million remain voluntarily inactive. And yet it is this small minority, the 3 million Negro voters, who help determine who will be the next president. If who will be the next president can be influenced by 3 million Negro voters, it is easy to see why the presidential candidates of both political parties put on such a false show with the Civil Rights Bill and promises of integration. They must impress the 3 million voting Negroes who are the actual integration seekers. And if so much fuss is made over these 3 million integration seekers, what would the presidential candidates have to do to appease the 8 million non-voting Negroes if they ever decided to become politically active? They hold the balance of power. Who are the 8 million non-voting Negroes? What do they want? And why don't they vote? The 3 million Negro voters are the so-called middle-class Negroes, or high-class Negroes, or uppity Negroes, who are referred to by the late Howard University sociology professor E. Franklin Frazier as the black bourgeoisie.
Right there. Right there. So beautifully how he puts white liberals and the black bourgeoisie in the same class. And this is why I say things like the Congressional Black Caucus are the white liberals that Malcolm X talked about, because they're essentially they're working together to do the same thing. They're almost working overlapping roles. So for me, right now, white liberal is the expression. It doesn't literally mean only white liberals, because the Democratic establishment is the white liberal, and it's many different ethnicities. So white liberal to me now, then it was more literal at its time. Now it represents an expression more for me. Glenn Ford called them the Black Misleadership class. Absolutely. And we'll be doing a stream on Glenn Ford, actually. I will reach out and see if I can get Danny or Margaret to do that, but to participate in that. But yes, we'll be doing another stream, part of the Black Radicals. This started out as a week. This is probably going to be 3 weeks. I'm not sure I'm going to do 3 weeks in a row, but this is probably going to be at least 3 weeks for all the content we want to cover on these issues. We need to make sure the I Am the Revolution series is a complete series that anybody who doesn't understand leftist thinking can go and say, go watch this series of streams. And after you watch them, like binge watching Netflix, after you watch them, you'll get an understanding. And that's what I want to try to put together with this this series. So let's now back to what he's saying here. I'm going to rewind it back. We're going to listen to that minute and a half again, and I'm going to be starting commenting now.
If who will be the next president can be influenced by 3 million Negro voters, it is easy to see why the presidential candidates of both political parties put on such a false show with the Civil Rights Bill and promises of integration. They must impress the 3 million voting Negroes who are the actual integration seekers. And if so much fuss is made over these 3 million integration seekers, what would the presidential candidates have to do to appease the 8 million non-voting Negroes if they ever decided to become politically active? They hold the balance of power. Who are the 8 million non-voting Negroes? What do they want? And why don't they vote? The 3 million Negro voters are the so-called middle-class Negroes, or high-class Negroes.
So the ones that are voting, the ones bought into the system, middle class, what he referred to as high class, and then he says the black bourgeoisie,
or uppity Negroes, who are referred to by the late Howard University sociology professor E. Franklin Frazier as the black bourgeoisie, who have been educated to think as patriotic individualists with no
patriotic individualist. Like, these are things literally that for those who are in community with us on Twitter and all of these social media spaces, we talk about this stuff all the time. And we use this phrasing all the time, this type of language all the time.
who have been educated to think as patriotic individualists with no racial pride whatsoever.
I mean, that burns me in the chest right there. Been indoctrinated to believe that patriotic individualism with no connection to ethnicity. He says race here, but ethnicity. These are the Don Lemons, I mean, any number of musician, the John Legends. Yeah, I don't need to continue. But let's continue with this clip here.
Who believe in and look forward to the future integrated, intermarried society that is constantly being promised to them by the Negro politician. And therefore, this integration-minded 3 million minority remain an active part of the white-controlled political parties.
Yes, I think that speaks for itself.
But it must never be overlooked that these 3 million Negro integration seekers are only a small minority of the 11 million qualified Negro voters.
And that still is today. The black people who participate in electoral politics is the minority of the overall black community. The vast majority of black people do not vote. Or maybe I shouldn't use the word vast, but the majority of black people do not vote. So that's still true today. And the duopoly counts on that getting, however small the amount. This is the reason why it's so important for the Democratic Party to get the black vote out. This is the reason why Hillary Clinton lost, and this is the reason why Joe Biden won. So yeah, let's continue.
The 8 million non-voting Negroes are the majority, the downtrodden black masses. They have refused to vote. They've refused to take a part in politics because they reject the Uncle Tom approach of the clergy politician leadership that has been handpicked for the so-called Negroes by the white man himself.
I mean, if that's not, have you heard of Al Sharpton? Now, Al Sharpton, they've hated for decades. Demonized Al Sharpton, especially when he was a bigger version of himself. Then magically, now he's on board with everybody? How was that? What's different?
Downtrodden black masses. They have refused to vote. They've refused to take a part in politics.
Why would somebody who lives in the Jordan Down projects in Watts, who's working 40 hours but can only afford to live in the projects, whose uncle or dad or uncle and dad were either murdered or in jail because of the 1994 crime bill, who is living in a rundown, depressed city where literally blocks are boarded up, where it's dangerous, why would he vote? Or she? Or the person vote, this person? What will voting do for them? I mean, that's a question. Ask the person who's a Democrat who's asking you to vote for them. Describe a person like that and say, what are you or what is your party? Don't say them, because politics is about a team. So say the team you're trying to get me to vote you onto. What is your team? Not you. What is that team doing for these things? What is that team doing for these people? The person who lives in the government projects, working 40 hours or more, still can't afford more, taking public transportation when they can get it on time, and is expected to achieve the American dream. It's fantasy. It's not fantasy. It's an illusion that is being sold.
Because they reject the Uncle Tom approach of the clergy politician leadership that has been handpicked for the so-called Negroes by the white man himself. This clergy politician leadership does not speak for the Negro majority. They don't speak for the black masses. They speak for the black bourgeoisie, the brainwashed, white-minded, middle-class minority.
That is so spot on and so key. The people who are teaming up for with the Democratic Party, they don't speak for the black community. They speak for the black bourgeoisie, and that is absolutely correct. So when you see Al Sharpton out there, he's not speaking for the black community. He's speaking for the black bourgeoisie. Bourgeoisie. Is that the right way? I mean, I think it goes without saying Obama's not speaking for the black community. And I think that's weird. Like, they don't even go to Obama when it's like, let's get the black view on it. You notice that? Like, they don't go like on black issues, let's go to Obama. What do you think? They don't even go to Obama for any of that. That's so funny. Just realizing that. Let's do a chat check. I've realized I didn't do one earlier today. Yes, Maxine Waters is a perfect example. Just getting rich off of poor people, knowing she's not going to do anything. And we did that. I did the video on Jimmy Dore doing a video on her saying the homeless comment. Yeah, where she told homeless people in LA to go home who showed up for Section 8 housing. They ran out immediately because it's never enough. Yeah. Let's continue. Next comment here. Both parties rig elections differently. Democrats rigged their primary. DNC rigged against Bernie, and Repubs rigged general elections. College Electoral College 2016. Florida Republican did fraud by holding a dual office. Dems looked away. That's the Dems' job. Is to seem docile, to seem weak, to seem like they always just made it, just missed it, like with the parliamentarian. The working class needs voting mechanisms, just not through the Democratic Party. That is a great point. A mechanism outside of the Democratic Party if you want to participate politically. But what is Karl Marx talks about is once the proletariat is the party. Proletariat is the party. So once the worker party, once workers unite, they form a political party. And since you are, this is what Karl Marx thinks, since proletariats or workers are the vast majority, they'll come in and take political control. But the problem is getting over the barrier of workers. This is why it's such an attack. It's such a focus on pinning workers against each other, because that is key to workers not coming together. It's simply key. It doesn't matter what they have. It doesn't matter if they have the police force. If it's 300 million of us saying this is what's going to happen, all of y'all get the fuck out of the government. That's what's going to happen. Or if we were talking workers, I guess we would say more like 100 million. What are they going to do? It would just simply be what he refers to, or what they refer to in the Communist Manifesto as the proletariat dictatorship. So let's continue. Love Malcolm X. Vote conditionally. Vote to unionize like Amazon. Yeah, and Amazon just or Starbucks just unionized, just won a 14-0. Forget the area, but I just saw that on Twitter. 14-0 vote, and Stanton unionized another location in that's a Starbucks. I'm sorry, I said Stanton because I read that, but Starbucks has unionized the vote today. Yes, so let's see. Is there any other comments? I want to make sure I'm tossing these up. Otherwise, we won't get to them. What is this one? Paul Smith, even our NBA players, as much as I love the sports of hoops, they make part of it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's why I said it's a number of NFL players is a number. I mean, entertainment. That's who they get. That's who our leaders are. It's so weird. Like you don't see anybody. I'm trying to think of any other ethnicity where when they say black leaders, they go to athletes and entertainers. Do they do that for Hispanics or Latin people? Do they do that for any Asian American group? You tell me in the comments. I can't think of anyone else. Wall Street, Washington, Hollywood is nothing without Black Americans. That is true. I was saying this early. I was saying this on another stream. Could you imagine the amount of money that would be lost if Black entertainment, Black entertainers? This is why I say Black entertainers in the Black capitalist class can get a lot done. But they bought into what Malcolm said earlier. They bought into individual patriotic individualism, because with all of Black wealth that is accumulated at the top, and you're talking billions upon billions of dollars, you mean to tell me all of y'all millionaires and billionaires who are Black in America, y'all couldn't at this time raise $1 billion to eliminate homelessness? To eliminate or to greatly affect homelessness if it doesn't eliminate it. I can't remember the amount. I think it's millions and not in the billions. It could be in the millions, hundreds of millions to eliminate. But homelessness could be considered a Black issue because I believe the number is 40%. I believe that's what Nick says. 40% of the homeless population is Black. But they refuse to, but they haven't thought of it or refuse to do it, which is bizarre to me. And ask yourself this question. Keep your foundation, keep all your charities, which is not really anything. Ask yourself this question, Black capitalists. What would somebody like Frederick Douglass or Harriet Truman say about a handful of Black people having billions upon billions of dollars while 95% of the Black community is still being oppressed economically, along with, I mean, in every way, but economically in comparison, they're still being oppressed, and these Black groups aren't doing anything. Think if we applied that to Harriet Tubman. When she got out, she would have never came back to get more people. The Underground Railroad. So what would they say about what the Black capitalists are doing now? So let's continue with this one here.
who, because they are ashamed of their race,
I'm going to start it over to get that complete thought.
but it must never be overlooked that these 3 million Negro integration seekers are only a small minority of the 11 million qualified Negro voters. The 8 million non-voting Negroes are the majority, the downtrodden black masses. They have refused to vote. They've refused to take a part in politics because they reject the Uncle Tom approach of the clergy politician leadership that has been handpicked for the so-called Negroes by the white man himself. This clergy politician leadership does not speak for the Negro majority. They don't speak for the black masses. They speak for the black bourgeoisie, the brainwashed, white-minded, middle-class minority, who, because they are ashamed of their race, because they are ashamed of being black and don't want to be identified with black, they are seeking to lose this black identity by mixing and mingling and intermarrying and integrating with the white society. The race problem cannot be solved by listening to the white-minded, brainwashed minority. The white man must try to learn what the black majority wants.
The race problem cannot be solved by listening to the brainwashed black minority. So all the talking heads, all the people who have the mic, all the people that the white establishment has decided to say, hey, these black people are good enough to go in front of the mic and talk on our behalf as being black allies. They don't speak for us. And following what they're suggesting is not going to gain us the liberation that we want. It's not. So that to me is saying anything they're recommending, the Democratic Party, we should be against. The military-industrial complex. We should be against. The oppression of other people in other countries, we should be against. Let's continue.
The president would be wise to try and learn what the black masses want. And the only way to find this out is by listening to the man who speaks for the black masses. And I can declare to you tonight and to the entire world that the man here in America who speaks for the majority, the downtrodden, dissatisfied black masses, is this same man who so many thousands of our people are flocking toward to see and hear. This same Mr. Muhammad, who is labeled by you as a black supremacist and as a racist and as an extremist. If the 3 million middle-class Negroes are casting their ballots for integration and intermarriage, what do the non-voting black masses who are in the majority want? Find out what the black masses want, and then perhaps America's grave race problem can be solved.
So that
Introducing
is,
speech law, the most natural sounding text to speech software.
Yes, take that off. So that is the speech. I'm actually going to play it again in just a second, but first I do want to cover another speech before I go back to that one. Oh, let me take this comment off. Thank you for the comment. I'm trying to toss everybody's comment up while we're while the content is playing. So if you're just getting here, make sure you hit the like button. Please hit the like button. That actually helps us a lot to get this content out. Also, Substack, make sure you do I have that still linked anywhere? Let me see if I still have it. Oh, I do. Okay, so this is our Substack. I'll also put it in the comments. Make sure you join our mailing list. This is what we're using, our mailing list, because it's very simple. When you go on there, you enter your email. Now you're on our mailing list. We have it, and it's like It's free. It doesn't cost anything or anything like that. So go on there. So you will be notified for any of our podcasts that, content that's coming up, and any other writings that we do, because we will begin to write op-eds on there also. So join us now, join the community. All right, so now let me bring up this other video, same topic. We're talking Malcolm X here. Oh, it's not on the screen, so I don't have to worry about that. So let's go here. This video is a little bit longer, but we're not going to cover all of it. It's actually a bunch of different speeches they put in one video, because it's the same sort of topic overlay. So let's go back here. Now, the topic of this video is, actually, let me share it. You can see it. And I should say title, not topic. Title of this video is Malcolm X on the House Negro and the Field Negro. And the reason I'm playing this, because this is where he also talks about black capitalists here. And it's going to sound very much like what's happening right now. Let's listen.
To understand this, you have to go back to what young brother here referred to as the house Negro and the field Negro. Back during slavery, there was two kinds of slaves. There was the house Negro and the field Negro. The house Negro, they lived in the house with master. They dressed pretty good. They ate good because they ate his food, what he left. They lived in the attic or the basement, but still they lived near their master. And they loved their master more than the master loved himself. They would give their life to save their master's house quicker than the master would. The house Negro, if the master said, we got a good house here, the house Negro said, yeah, we got a good house here. Whenever the master said we, he said we. That's how you can tell a house Negro. If the master's house caught on fire, the house Negro would fight harder to put the blaze out than the master would. If the master got sick, the house Negro would say, what's the matter, boss? We sick. We sick. He identified himself with his master more than his master identified with himself. And if you came to the house Negro and said, let's run away, let's escape, let's separate, that house Negro would look at you and say, man, you crazy. What you mean separate? Where is there a better house than this? Where can I wear?
So this speaks to the slave mindset, is what, in my opinion, he's speaking to. The house Negro, and that's what it is. I mean, if you're a house Negro and a field Negro, that means you're a slave, right? But it's the, if you've been beaten down, you've watched friends and family members kidnapped, you've been, people have been raped by slave masters. Like, this is your life. You've been told your skin color is a disease. And then you're allowed to go inside the house because you do extra, because you're light, because that rape produced a child, and now you're a little bit lighter complexion, so you can come on, in the house. But just being in the house, you're be around the slave owners, and not where they're not beating you, they're talking to you with, in your mind, is respect, because they're not yelling at you, they're just talking to you normal, but in your mind, you're like equal to them. So when you say it's time to get out of here, of this bondage, they like, what are you talking about? Because it's no other imagination beyond either I'm in here or I'm out there with all the other slaves in the field. And we have that today. Patriotic individualism is what is the nice word of saying it. Because I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to get into names here. So let's continue with Malcolm, because it's not about that. It's about Malcolm's speech. So let's go more into this speech here with Malcolm.
He identified himself with his master more than his master identified with himself. And if you came to the house Negro and said, let's run away, let's escape, let's separate, that house Negro would look at you and say, man, you crazy. What you mean separate? Where is there a better house than this? Where can I wear better clothes than this? Where can I eat better food than this? That was that house Negro. In those days, he was called a house nigger. And that's what we call him today, because we still got some house niggers running around here. This modern house Negro loves his master. He wants to live near him. He'll pay 3 times as much as the house is worth just to live near his master. And then brag about, I'm the only Negro out here.
Oops. I've heard that before. You hear it now all over pop culture amongst black capitalists. Or something similar to it.
I'm the only one on my job. I'm the only one in this school. You're nothing but a house Negro. And if someone come to you right now and say, let's separate, you say the same thing that the house Negro said on the plantation. What you mean separate? From America? This good white man?
What you mean separate? From the Democratic Party? This the best we got.
Where you gonna get a better job than you get here?
Where you gonna get better treatment than you're gonna get with the Democratic Party?
I mean, this is what you say. I ain't left nothing in Africa. That's what you say. While you left your mind in Africa. On that same plantation, there was the field Negro. The field Negro, those were the masses. There was always more Negroes in the field than there was Negroes in the house. The Negro in the field caught hell. He ate leftovers. In the house, they ate high up on the hog. The Negro in the field didn't get nothing but what was left of the insides of the hog.
That's an expression, high up on the hog. It's like the better meat. And that comes from slavery. We still used in the black community. Like that expression is still used.
They call them chitlins nowadays. In those days, they call them what they were, guts. That's what you were, a gut eater. And some of you all still gut eaters.
Mm-hmm.
The field Negro was beaten from morning till night. He lived in a shack, in a hut. He wore cast-off clothes. And he hated his master. I say he hated his master. He was intelligent. That house Negro loved his master. But that field Negro, remember, they were in the majority. And they hated the master.
How do we reach?
This is a good point. I'm going to pause it here. So when he says the majority doesn't speak for the minority when he's talking about like the bourgeoisie class now. I see it the same as how he's describing the field Negro and the house Negro. The house Negro, just imagine if the house Negro is the one who's on TV, the one they're inviting on to political shows to represent the black view. That's it. The house Negro is not going to say anything that's going to fuck up his house Negro setup. Nothing. But he's tried it out as this is the black representation right here. But the black masses, the field Negroes, completely against it. So, yeah. Do another chat check here. Make sure. I'll toss the comments up as I play more of what he's saying here. Let's continue.
For a breeze. When the master got sick, the field Negro prayed that he died. If someone come to the field Negro and said, let's separate, let's run, he didn't say, where are we going? He said, any place is better than here. You got field Negroes in America today. I'm a field Negro. The masses are the field Negroes. When they see this man's house on fire, you don't hear these little Negroes talking about our government is in trouble. They say the government is in trouble.
Like, he's funny, not even trying to be funny. He's funny because the critique is so spot on. And he's like, what the fuck? They don't say our government, we say the government. And that's funny. That is funny because it is something I had to train myself to say our government when speaking about politics. Because I always say the government. I never picked up on that, but that is a good point that Malcolm makes here.
Imagine a Negro, our government. I even heard one say, our astronauts. They won't even let him near the plant. And our astronauts, our Navy, that's a Negro that's out of his mind. That's a Negro that's out of his mind. Just as the slave master in that day used Tom, the house.
So this is another clip. If you notice, you can tell the difference in the sound. So that's first speech that he was speaking that is ended. Now this is a different one, but speaking on the same topic.
Negro, to keep the field Negroes in check. The same old slave master today has Negroes who are nothing but modern Uncle Toms, 20th century Uncle Toms, to keep you and me in check, keep us under control, keep us passive and peaceful and nonviolent. That's Tom making you nonviolent. It's like when you go to the dentist and the man is going to take your tooth. You're going to fight him when he starts pulling. So they squirt some stuff in your jaw called Novocaine to make you think they're not doing anything to you. So you sit there and because you got all that Novocaine in your jaw, you suffer peacefully. Blood running all down your jaw. And you don't know what's happening. Because someone has taught you to suffer peacefully. The white man do the same thing to you.
Yes, that's a good way of describing the black community. Because over the years, we've been told and taught to just suffer peacefully through police brutality, suffer peacefully through giant cuts to education, suffer peacefully to giant cuts to welfare systems. Like, just suffer peacefully.
In the street, when you want to put knots on your head and take advantage of you and don't have to be afraid of you fighting back, to keep you from fighting back, he get these old religious Uncle Toms to teach you and me that just like Novocaine, suffer peacefully. Don't stop suffering, just suffer peacefully. As Reverend Cleek pointed out, let your blood flow in the streets. This is a shame.
Forget expensive solar panels. Get Tesla Solar and a Powerwall for no cost. Can you get paid
You don't know how much I hate commercials. I absolutely can't stand. It's like, because it's basically, here, let me tell you about my product. Like, I don't want to know about your fucking product. Let me reach out to you when I want to know about your product, instead of shoving it in my fucking face randomly. Anyway, tangent. Let's continue. Oops. Let's turn the sound back up and rewind slightly.
Be afraid of you fighting back. To keep you from fighting back, he get these old religious Uncle Toms to teach you and me. They're just like Nova.
Let's go back, because I got to hear this complete thought here.
Blood running all down your jaw. And you don't know what's happening, because someone has taught you to suffer peacefully. The white man do the same thing to you in the street. When he want to put knots on your head and take advantage of you and don't have to be afraid of you fighting back, to keep you from fighting back, he get these old religious Uncle Toms to teach you and me. They're just like Novocaine, suffer peacefully. Don't stop suffering, just suffer peacefully. As Reverend Cleek pointed out, let your blood flow in the streets. This is a shame. And you know, he's a Christian preacher. If it's a shame to him, you know what it is to me.
The way he speaks, it's like he's speaking to a friend. Because that's what you would say to a friend, like, Rome, if it's this to Rome, you know what it is to me. That's how you would speak to a friend. I think I'm just speaking to the infectious nature of how he speaks. Right. Die quietly without health care. Isn't that exactly what we went through the pandemic? Suffer peacefully. That's exactly what we went through the pandemic. Yeah, and Al Sharpton is a prime example of what he's describing about these clergy people who are brought in as the sheep herder, as the worker herder, as the black community herder, if that's the word I'm saying, not herder. Capitalism is the disease and black-led communism is the vaccine, baby. Ads starting in 3, 2, 1. Hey, give me your money, dummy. Yes, that's exactly why I hate that shit. I hate the concept of commercials just randomly. Here, let me shove this in your face. Tell you about it. So, there is a couple of other things. Let me bring this back down. Or this particular one back down. And actually, before I do that, let me bring up since I have this up, and as a way until I bring up the video, I'll bring this up. So I'm going to be doing. Actually, I'll tell you about this later. Nope, I'll tell you about it now since I have it up. Let's put it up since I have it up here. This. So this is a fundraiser that I'm going to be doing for me mommy. Now let me bring up the graphic. I'm using this to do that. So this is just a little graphic I had my sister put together. Fundraiser for Compton Jay's mom. So, my mom is a sort of a proud person. So I guess it's not something that she technically wanted me to find out, but I found out she still owes money for her taxes and she's making installment payments. So, and she's struggling. So I want to be able to contribute as much as I can. And so I'm reaching out to my community and I'm going to be doing a fundraiser. But for now, I'll put this up here while I get the next video prepared. That's my Cash App and Venmo. Whatever you could contribute, please do. If you can't, that's fine. Also, when I make a little, post, you can retweet it or put it out about the stream I'm going to do about the fundraiser, and that will help also. So whether it's financial help or just spreading the word, all is appreciated. And now let's go back to man, it's so much. Like there's another topic, how whitewashing Black history. That's a topic that I wanted to cover. Also, I guess we can no, let's go back. I don't want to get off target. I'm seeing some other good content I want to bring up. Let me do specific streams for that content, so I don't want to bring that video up. But what I'm going to do is bring up another video as soon as this commercial stops playing. Okay, so for those who joined us in the last 30 minutes or so, I did a different video earlier, and I'm going back to that video now to touch upon some things. I'll take this down now that I have the other video up and ready to go. Here we go. So now we're just going to touch upon a couple of points he made here again. Because after hearing that other video, now I want to come back and listen to this again for any added points of clarity that I might have gotten through the other video now that I'm hearing this again. So let's listen to it. I'll probably stop at a lot less to make fewer points. So let's go through.
Crooked game of power politics here in America. The Negro, namely the race problem, integration, civil rights issue, are all nothing but tools used by the whites who call themselves liberals against another group of whites who call themselves conservatives, either to get into power or to retain power.
That part is a little more clear to me now. It's that not clear to me, but this part to me is very key for Black people in Black community, or just people in general, but I'm speaking to the Black community, to understand. And let's let him say it again, and then I'll say this part.
Civil rights issue are all
right there.
Negro, namely the race problem, integration, civil rights issue, are all nothing but tools used by the whites who call themselves liberals against.
So he's saying Black issues are nothing but tools used by the whites who call themselves liberals
against another group of whites who call themselves conservatives.
So our issues are simply tools that are used. And now there's other tools. They don't only just use Black tools. They have different tools for different groups that they want to get. And for the Black group, they just have these Black issues that they virtue signal to. And they do this also for the LGBTQ community. They do this for other communities, but right now we're talking about the Black community. And they have no intentions of really foundationally fixing any of those issues. None. Because they're literally some of the same issues that they were talking about 50, 60 years ago, if not longer.
either to get into power or to retain power. Among whites here in America, the political teams are no longer divided into Democrats and Republicans. The whites who are now struggling for control of the American political throne are divided into liberal and conservative camps.
So this is the part where I wanted I think that black leaders or black historical black iconic sort of movement leaders should be seen as political theorists, because what is he saying here? This is a political analysis assessment of American politics. And let's listen to that assessment in the beginning here, so we can.
Whites who are now struggling for control of the American political throne are divided into liberal and conservative camps. The white liberals from both parties cross party lines to work together toward the same goal, and white conservatives from both parties do likewise. The white liberal differs from the white conservative only in one way. The liberal is more deceitful, more hypocritical than the conservative.
This is why the Democratic Party is the more effective evil, because they're more conniving. Because if you're trying to do essentially the same thing, 90% of the same thing that the so-called conservative party does, but you're trying to act like that's not what you're doing, that's more deceitful. And that's the point Malcolm is making here.
And white conservatives from both parties do likewise. The white liberal differs from the white conservative only in one way. The liberal is more deceitful, more hypocritical than the conservative. Both want.
I mean, think about it. Both parties are terrible. Both of them. But wouldn't you say Nancy Pelosi is more hypocritical than Mitch McConnell? Because Mitch McConnell tell you up front, I ain't for none of that shit. I ain't for no safety plan. I ain't for no health care. I ain't for none of that shit. But Nancy Pelosi will pretend like she's for the working class. She's for all these things, and she's not. Just like Mitch McConnell. That's more deceitful. That's a more effective evil if you have people believing that you want to do good when you want to do the same bad plan.
Want power, but the white liberal is the one who has perfected the art of posing as the Negro's friend and benefactor. And by winning the friendship and support of the Negro, the white liberal is able to use the Negro as a pawn or a weapon in this political football game that is constantly raging between the white liberals and the white conservatives. The American Negro is nothing but a political football, and the white liberals control this ball through tricks or tokenism, false promises of integration and civil rights. In this game of deceiving and using the American Negro, the white liberals have complete cooperation of the Negro civil rights leaders, who sell our people out for a few crumbs of token recognition, token gains, token progress. In the New York Tribune, in an editorial dated February the 5th, 1960, they pointed out that out of 11 million qualified Negro voters, only 2,700,000 actually take time to vote. This means that, roughly speaking, only 3 million out of the 11 million Negroes who are qualified to vote take an active part. And the remaining 8 million remain voluntarily inactive. And yet it is this small minority, the 3 million Negro voters, who help determine who will be the next president.
And that's the same thing that's happening now. I'll stop it there, and I'm going to end on this final video here. I don't want to double back too much on that video, but there were some points I wanted to gain a little more clarity on hearing it again after listening to the second video. But let's listen now to Angela Davis here. How do I exit out of this one? It's a short footage, short clip, I should say. And it's entitled "Why I Am a Communist" here. This is Angela Davis.
Churches, and they all ask one main question, which is, why is Angela Davis communist? This is a very hard question to answer, mainly because I don't feel I've been taught the true meaning of communism. This is one of my reasons for writing you at the time.
Hold it right there. Why is Angela Davis a communist?
Actually, I think I answered that before when we were talking about what a revolutionary is.
Many times the term communist, because I think it's been used by so many different aspects of our society to put down rather than to let people try to understand. Everybody shuns away from it. It's like it's a disease or something like that. And I just, what I'm trying to get through is that the brother here in that letter is raising a question, and therefore in his question, it seems that he's trying to say that there are some people who are plagued by that, and they let that get in the way. They don't want to know Angela Davis as a person, or even if they do, that prevents them from coming to know Angela Davis.
Well, you see, now that might be true for, say, the vast majority of white people.
Yeah.
But one of the things which really impressed me when I was on the streets and fighting for my job at UCLA was that whenever I spoke to black people, whenever I spoke in the black community, very few people had hang-ups about communism. I can remember many times walking down the street and having someone stop me and say, are you Angela Davis? And I would say yes, and they would express their solidarity and say, a lot of sisters and brothers would say, even though I don't really know what communism is all about, just as the brother here said, they say, we know that there must be something good about it, because otherwise the man wouldn't be coming down on you so hard.
And I wish Rome was here for this, because this could be, because he's a communist and he could speak to this. Like the whole Red Scare, the whole communist, blah, like that works very well for white people. But for black people and maybe indigenous people and maybe some other groups, that doesn't work as well. Because there is a little bit of that sort of instinct, that instinctive reaction of, well, who, like it's part of the black radical tradition. And I can't remember. Yeah, it was Ajamu. This quote is from where he was talking about the black radical tradition and how he was giving examples, and he was like, it used to be where you would talk about a conflict. Let's say it's, Russia versus Japan. And the first question a black person would ask is, well, whose side is the United States on? Because it was assumed whatever side they were on, you should be on the opposite side. So, so what she's saying here is that a lot of people in the community don't really have a lot of hangups, is what she describes, but a lot of pushback when she says she's a communist. And I thought that was striking there. So let's listen to some more of Angela.
So I think that the resistance to understanding what communism is all about doesn't exist nearly as much in the black community as it does in the country as a whole. This letter here is an indication of that. What he's saying is that although he realizes that this country has kept away from him and many of our sisters and brothers the knowledge of what communism is, he wants to know about it. Yeah. And I'm sure that that's when he says that that's one of the main questions that's asked. I doubt whether there's in the black community at least, whether there's whether they're huge contours of hostility.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
think
a
that-
desire, curiosity to know.
I think
And
that's
there's some what I generally say, and I answered the brother and tried to explain in a few words why I was a communist. And I said essentially the same thing that I had said when I told you why I was a revolutionary, because I have a very strong love for oppressed people, for my people. I want to see them free, and I want to see all oppressed people throughout the world free. I realize that the only way that we can do this is by moving towards a revolutionary society where the needs and the interests and the wishes of all people can be respected.
Wow. Like somebody said, like here, she let me down when she said she vote for Jim Crow Joe. The black radical tradition has been suppressed, has been depressed, has been attacked. Like it's such in a fragile state as far as such in a fragile state. Because there's a couple of comments about critiquing who Angela Davis is now. Oh, here it goes. Angela's day or 60s Angela versus 2022 Angela. Notice what happened over time. You get worn down. Or maybe she does. I can't assume that. Maybe maybe that's the case for her, is that she got worn down. This is another good. Did I click the right thing? Is it moving? Let's see. This is another is this it? Hang on, I'm waiting for it to change on the screen here, and it's not, so I must be on the wrong page. Okay, this is the right page here. My bad. So this one I'll click. I had that up twice. Oh, I see what's happening. I have to click it down here. Otherwise, it opens up another page. My bad, everybody. All right, so now we're here. So there's a lot of good content on here. It's called Afro Marxists. Check it out. It's a lot of good content. I'm going to show another video on here. Wow, that's too long for us to show. Where is the one I saw? Yeah, this is Angela Davis now. Yeah, so we won't play that now. Okay, Angela Davis in Colombia. One second here. It's tough to find these historical videos, everybody, as you can see. So you got to do a lot of digging here. Wow. They actually have Fidel Castro on. Like, you don't see this type of stuff anymore. Look at this.
The United States. Mr. President, every time that you begin to talk about improving relations with the United States, Washington says, show us deeds, not words. What actions or deeds are you prepared to make to improve relations with the United States?
You said every time. I speak of improving relations. Actually, there are not many times. Now then, I have read a few.
Anyway, we'll do a separate video. I didn't want to say I'm going to cover that right now, because we're going to be ending the stream very soon. This is my bad. There was another clip I was going to show you. For whatever reason, I didn't put it in my DM, so I don't see it. So I'm just trying to quickly find it. But if I can't, I'll have to put this on a different stream. I don't even remember who's in it, and that's the reason why I can't quickly find it. I don't think it's here. Doesn't look like it. I don't remember scrolling down this far down. All right, so yeah, no, that's it. I'm not gonna find that video, so I'll take this down and get back to finishing off the stream here. So this is I Am the Revolution. These streams or these series of streams is meant to watch as a group. And so if you want to radicalize a friend, or if a friend wants to be radicalized, or if a friend wants some more understanding of leftist politics, we want to have, or I want to have a series of episodes that they can go to and say, go watch this. I Am the Revolution. And it teaches them about imperialism, capitalism, feudalism, communism, socialism, about Karl Marx, about black radicals like Malcolm X, Angela Davis, Martin Luther King, Marcus Garvey, that type of thing. The black radical tradition, just lots of things in preparing your mind for a revolution firsthand. So I think we're going to cut it here. Like I said, it's my daughter's birthday, so I'm going to head on out and see what we're doing for her today. Let me get through some more comments, do a chat check really quick before I head on out here. It's our Radicalize a Friend month. Yes. Radicalize somebody. That is literally the least we all can be doing as revolutionaries is radicalizing somebody else. I highly recommend that. The reason I stopped the video is because I want to give Fidel a full stream, so I don't want to not cover it appropriately. Yes, there is yes, it's so amazing how these leaders, like, political discussion was a lot better in the 80s. When you look at these videos of conversations, like the Donahue show was a big one. Sister Soldier used to go in there, Cornel West, and they didn't talk about no surface issues, like dragged out fights, like on camera, but about political items. So, absolutely. Which were substantial and powerful. It's in reference to something earlier. That's about Angela Davis fro. Yeah, she had a mean fro. Yes, Afro-Marxist Station. Shouted them out. Yes. No, I'm not putting that one up. Yeah, I get what you're saying. So the comment about Angela Davis 60s to now and see what happened over time, that's a comment on what happens by being in the system. What does the system grind? It grinds you to the right, it sounds like. Even for some leftists. Yeah, Chomsky is another one. We know cooperation, Jackson. Yes. We'll see about getting a maybe some content with them, or a summit or something like that. All right, so I think that's going to be it for today. I want to also shout out again, like this stream. Let me see where we're at now. This worked yesterday. Let's see if it works today. So, let me refresh this and see. I refresh this too. So first, let me update our mailing list. So let's see how many people were added during the stream. About 20 were added. So I'm going to shout it out again. revolutionaryblackout.substack.com. Follow us to be put on our mailing list. Do I have it listed here somewhere? I do, right there. make sure you follow us so that you can be put on our mailing list. Now let me look at. So we are at 141 likes. So if everybody watching now could like, we can push that well over 200, so that more people, when they get off of work, because they're going to begin to get off work on the East Coast in a few minutes, they'll be able to have this pop up in their stream. So very important, if you like this stream, hit the like button, hit the thumbs up, so more people can view this as they get off of work in a few minutes. The other thing is subscribe to the channel, subscribe to us on Rockfin. 95% of our content is free. All of my any streams that I do are free. So as a backup, we're trying to diversify. We're getting on Rumble. We're on Gitter already. You can check us out on Gitter. We got on Substack. We're already on Twitter. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. There's one more that I'm missing with the T. Oh, we're on Facebook, of course. So make sure you're following our content in many different areas, because you never know when one will take us down. Rockfin is a rock solid one because they don't have any of this sort of censorship that YouTube has. So that's a pretty rock solid one. And currently, that's where it's the second place that has most of our content. YouTube is the number one place, but the second place that has the most of our content is Rockfin. So make sure you diversify where you're following us. Also follow us on Twitter. We're being suppressed on there too. Oh yeah, Twitch is the other one. Thank you for that. We're on Twitch. We're on Rockfin. Odyssey is the platform we need to get on. Odyssey is the platform we need to get on. That is it. We're not on MySpace. I guess that could be an option. Oh, we haven't. We're in talks with somebody, with the company to. So Nick has a meeting with them. So that's not there yet, but we're going to be doing Rumble. So we're going to be streaming Rumble. So yeah, we want to everybody be able to see us. Yeah, the super chat button, we got demonetized, not for anything bad, but we have to update some information, like our personal information on the account. That's why you don't see the super chat button. I got to tell people. I had to tell my fellow RBN people, I don't know if they're aware, but the super chat button is gone. Solidarity requires actual sacrifice. Absolutely. Thank you. Another thing I want to do is, before I let everybody go, that is shout out a couple of things. Our next summit, it is very important that we get the word out about our next summit, which will be the International Anti-Imperialist Summit. I'll bring up the graphic here in just a second. Make sure that you save the date for this summit. International is the approach that we should be taking as a leftist movement. It's an international perspective, but let's put this on the screen. This is our summit that's coming up April 29th through May 1st. That's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Right now, if it gets bigger, we may have to add a fourth day, but it was originally 2 days and we have to add it to 3. So we'll see if it stays at 3. But save the date here. Let people know. Follow us on Twitter so you can retweet that. And I already kind of shouted out the fundraiser I'm going to be doing. I'm going to do a separate stream, but I guess it doesn't hurt to shout it out here. I'm going to do a separate stream on here, but also raising some funds to give to my mom for her property tax. So I found out that she still owes money, and her being her proud self, didn't reach out. So I decided on my own to try to do this. So let's, I want to see how much I can raise that I can give to her to contribute to this. If you're able to contribute, where is my credentials? Those are my Cash Apps and my Venmo. For PayPal, I guess you can send it to the mutual aid. It's mutualaidforever@gmail.com is the email. You can look it up that way if you have PayPal. All right, so we have a lot going on. I know Rome is going to be out in Boston with Sabby. He just finished up in Florida with JB, and then he's going to round it out with Nick in Missouri. So that's what's going on. So I can take that down now. So again, thank you for joining today. I said this yesterday, and I don't know if I'm going to say this every stream. When we do the controversial, the eye candy sort of topics, there's a lot of interest in those videos. As a left movement, if we're saying that we're serious and we're the serious ones in this, we're trying to, realize the things that we're saying, the policies that we're saying. Then when we're doing videos like this, where it's education time, it's classroom time, there has to be the same sort of interest. So, and I say that to say, I want to see the same interests that are in this video and these types of video in the I Am the Revolution series that I see that's with my You Left Shit Out series. So that's what I'm looking, and I'm hoping that everybody's doing the same. We can't do that unless you hit the like button. Hit the like button to make sure everybody's able to see this in their stream. And thank you, everybody who's saying thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, we're on Twitch also, actually. Yeah, it will. It's literally it's not anything we did wrong. We have to update some information. So yeah, we just have to update some information and get them that so that we can get that up and going. So, alrighty, I think that's going to be it. Finally, I know I keep saying that, but I don't think I have anything else. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss out on anything. Make sure you join our Substack. And I think I'm going to be signing off now. Thank you for joining today. Tomorrow, I think I'm going to get back to. I tried to mix it up today. I didn't want to do another, what is kind of streams. Yesterday, I did what is socialism, so I mixed it up today with Black radicals. Tomorrow, I'm going to go back and I think I'm going to go to what is communism for tomorrow's episode in this series of I Am the Revolution. Let's go ahead and find a video to go as an outro for us today. What do we have here? Let's see. What do we have? That's good. Actually, maybe we'll do an RBN clip. Because we have some good ideas also. We have some good people who have some good ideas also. So maybe we'd also give them the opportunity to be featured in these sort of segments. Do we have one? I'm trying to find one that's sort of on the same topic or a similar topic, but if I cannot, here's a good one. So this one is from Aaron, and Aaron, it was at the third party summit where he spoke, and this is where we'll end today's video. This is one of our own videos, so no copyright issues with this one. And again, this is Aaron, comrade, friend of the show, friend of the network. We've had him on the General Strike Summit. He was on the third party summit. So here, oops, wrong thing. I clicked there. This is what he says, though. I fell for it twice with Obama and Bernie. There's no one coming to save us. So we have to build it ourselves. Politicians are bought and paid for. Anybody following Joe Biden's career could have seen this coming. So this is Aaron. This is the video we'll end with. I'm not coming back afterwards. So have a great rest of your day. I'll see everybody tomorrow.
And the other problem I'm seeing is we fall into the trap. We live in a society where there's all these celebrities and all these people with huge platforms, and they people just like end up worshiping these celebrities and put all their eggs in the basket. Like I personally, I fell into the trap twice, with Obama and with Bernie. I'll be honest, like I fell for it twice, and I'm not going to do it again. Like I learned my lesson. I should have learned it sooner, but I did. I learned my lesson, and I realized that there's no one coming to save us. No matter how good on paper they look or how good they sound, there's no one coming to save us. So we have to build it ourselves. So for me, I still put about 80+% of my efforts to the outside game. But the efforts that I'm currently putting toward the electoral politics, I would say it's like 10-20%. But it's in such a way that I think will actually do damage. And at the very least, it will bring more people toward the outside game, toward the activist side of things, the grassroots sort of things. But yeah, I mean, politicians are bought and paid for. I mean, we live in a country that big pharma controls everything, and the military-industrial complex, they control. I mean, they control everything at this point between those two. And I mean, if you follow anybody following Joe Biden's career, could have seen this coming. A lot of us were calling it from the rooftops, and a lot of us we got dragged, we got smeared, and now all we can sit there and be like, told you so. Like I don't know how. I'm sorry that you're finding out this way, but we tried telling y'all and you didn't want to listen. So yeah, I don't think it can be reformed doing politics as usual. I don't think it can be reformed playing within the Dem and Republican duopoly. We have to find outside ways. So that's how I approach this.